Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio, a collaborative community of explorers in conscious living. How are you doing in these remarkable times? And I use that word because it covers a lot of ground, and it could be, you could be experiencing today as, oh my God, what am I going to do? Or, wow, I'm supercharged. And I know that you can't answer me right now, but I would welcome you to share with me what is happening. What are you experiencing in these times? And I'm wondering, is there something you want to take action on, but it feels like there's just too much in the way? What if you could tap into your inner fire to clear the way and move forward? If your answer to any of these is yes, stay tuned to meet my guest today, Heather Hansen O'Neill. Ignite your own wisdom, and if you have one, ignite your team, the wisdom of your team. Hi, I'm Laurie Seymour, host of Wisdom Talk Radio and CEO and founder of the Baca Institute. Head there to discover your creative advantage by taking the Creative Innovator quiz. Find out your personal creative innovator style so that you can open your creative flow and make everything in life easier. For visionaries, innovators, company founders, and product designers, optimize your ability to create more in less time while enjoying every minute. So I'm really excited to have my guest today on, Heather Hansen O'Neill. I got to be on her show a couple of weeks ago, and we just had a blast. So I'm delighted to welcome her here today because she is an international speaker, an author, and an adventurer, using her action-packed experiences to fire up audiences. She does indeed stimulate vibrant energy, focus, and action for those who want to collaborate effectively, lead change, and achieve massive results. Welcome, Heather. I'm so delighted to be with you today.
Hello, Laurie. I'm thrilled to be here with you. And I had a great time when you came on my show, so I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Great. So, how's your energy? Let me just ask you that, if that's okay, with everything going on in the world right now. What's happening for you?
Oh, well, it's good, but not without some, really conscious focusing to make it good. Because if I were to be going through what I'm going through now, years ago, before I learned some of the strategies that I use to keep my energy positive and elevated, I would be a little bit of a hot mess, to be honest, because there's so much. It's in so many areas of life. We're worried about our base needs, our security, our safety, and it's very difficult to get to the next level of, growth and contribution when we're so concerned about our base needs, right? But
exactly.
I am good. I'm actually really good. And I love, it really energizes me to be able to help other people stay high energy with everything going on.
Right. And that's the balance, and that's the trick.
Yeah.
So you're very focused around the branding of fire.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a little wee bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
If you're listening to this, what I'm seeing as I'm looking at Heather is behind her, it says, "Find your fire." Don't we all want to find our fire?
Exactly. Who doesn't want their fire to be lit?
Really? So how did that come into being? Why is that your focus?
Well, it kind of fell into my lap. You know how sometimes we behave a certain way and it's natural, it's innate to us. And then you don't even realize what to call it or what it looks like until someone draws your attention to it from their perspective, from the outside. So I've always been a very high energy person. And when I was, starting my business 20 some years ago, I was having a conversation with a mentor, and he called me a fireball. And it kind of made everything very clear, because up to that point, I really wasn't sure about my branding, because people would use weird words to describe me, like effervescent. I'm like, how am I supposed to market effervescent? Like, what is that, right?
Only if you're champagne.
Exactly. So, but the fire thing, it really spoke to me, because when I work with clients, the way that I see it is helping them find their inner fire. And he called me a fireball, and all my programs now, they're wrapped around, finding your fire and helping people rise from the ashes like a phoenix. It's like everything is around that energy of being fired up and passionate about your life and your business.
It strikes me that one of the aspects of fire is transmutation. How do you relate to that word at all?
100%, 100%. Yes, it's where I'm living right now. And because of everything going on in the world where we started this conversation, there is a requirement, I believe, for people to transform, for people to become different versions, better versions of themselves. And I'm not saying let go of who you are and not be authentic, but really get to the core of who you are and embrace that and evolve, become.
What does that look like?
Well,
or what could that look like?
That's a wonderful question. I love that question, because it has endless potential. I think sometimes when we get stressed out, when we get overwhelmed, when there's so many things coming at us, distractions, we start to lose that spark. We start to forget who we are. We start to respond to everybody else's priorities and everything going on in the world, and we forget who we are and what makes us special and unique and amazing, and we allow a little bit of self-doubt in. And what I love to do is to help people get to the core of what makes them special, remember that, and use it not just to be better for their clients, to be more joyful and energized in their lives, but to serve that bigger purpose based on it. And so that's where I think when you ask, what could we become? It's whatever you want to be.
Yeah. And so you really are hooking it to something bigger in the world. How can we contribute? How can we serve? How can we create in relation to what's needed?
Oh, 100%. And that's necessary right now. I mean, when we talk about, going back, let's bring back what this looked like or what that looked like. And it's not possible right now. And that's okay. We want to create something new and better. And so that's where my focus is. And I sense that you are right there. You totally get it. You are a creative, conscious being, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do. And people are, what I'm seeing is that as people learn how to tap into that, their energy levels rise, their health is better. They're excited about life. They're not worrying about trying to go back to something.
Right. I love that energy and the health aspects of it. When we can tap into the positive energy that is within us and around us, as opposed to giving in to the negative energy that is also within and around us, we get to choose. That's the power of it. The power is that you get to choose.
Exactly.
And it's all there, and you get to decide.
Yes. Isn't that wonderful?
I know.
Because then we're not a victim.
Exactly. I love that. We have to own it, baby.
Exactly. Now, I'm really curious. I'd love for you to speak for a moment on something I saw on your website about L Focus, leadership
Mm.
for our children's ultimate success. Because that for me is so forward looking. The children are our leaders of tomorrow.
100%. You
Doing
found it, the thing that speaks to my heart in what I do, so I'm open to whatever you want to know about that. How
I don't know
I,
anything,
you don't know anything about it. Okay.
I'd love to have you speak on it.
Thank you. It's very exciting for me because I do a lot with leadership, right? And I've done a lot helping corporate teams and executives to focus on their leadership. And then what kept happening is all of these conversations about what's needed and what they're not seeing in the people that are coming to them, the new hires and the interns and the students, and they're just not seeing what they wanted to see. And I love working with students. I speak to colleges, I speak to high schools, and there's just so much beautiful, creative, conscious energy from these students. I love it. And
Me too.
Right? I know they're just amazing. And so, I think they have a little bit of a bad rap too, because we talk about, a lot of times they're like, oh, they're always on their phones, or they don't do this, or they don't do that, but what that's doing is you're not seeing all of the talent and the wisdom that they bring to the table. And so once again, we get to choose what we see, right? And so in the conversations that I had with my corporate clients about what they were looking for, I wanted to bring that to the students, in particular students in underserved communities that maybe don't have that same access to that information. And so I created this L Focus program, like you said, Leadership for Our Children's Ultimate Success, to enable the corporate clients to provide a certain amount of what they do with me, what they invest in, to go toward these students learning as well automatically. And then I provide, and the people that I work with provide these skills to them free of charge. So it's the give back both from us and from the corporate clients to enable, to inform, to educate, to inspire these students to have those communication skills that they need, those leadership skills that they need. That's a lot of fun.
It sounds just tremendous. I'm so excited that you're doing it. I'm so excited that I saw it to be able to ask you about it. And I'd love to hear how you're seeing that happening in those underserved communities.
Well, the nice part, the way we do it is in several different capacities. So I'll just give you a couple of examples.
Okay.
So let's say I am traveling. I've been hired to travel to a company in another area that wants me to do a keynote presentation for their national sales meeting, right? But they're a conscious company and they want to give back and they believe in the education of the students. Then what they can do is they can, as part of their program, I will go to either a school near them or a Boys and Girls Club near them or a YMCA near them or whatever it is that they have established that is within their community, that they want to serve their community, the students that are going to potentially come up and work at their organization, to give them this inspiration and these skills. And then it also is kind of a bonus for the company too, where they get to be involved in it. They can attend and they can meet these students, and there can be some PR involved if they want. So it's like a win-win-win-win-win-win.
Absolutely, all the way around. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for doing this. I just think it's tremendous work.
Thanks. I enjoyed it a lot.
So you mentioned something about conscious living in there, about a conscious company. What are you working on right now? What is it that you're most excited about that you're seeing in your own work?
Wow, what an excellent question, an inspired question. I am really excited about some of the research that I've been doing for the last several years and how I'm seeing the results of it now. And so I have been fascinated in working with my clients for many, many years as to the transformations that occur when they look at beliefs and release beliefs that aren't serving them. And so I started doing a lot of research on where does that come from and in generational patterns, and how some of the beliefs that we have come from just being passed down blindly from generation to generation to generation. And they're just given to us, and we take it in because the brain is meant to make our lives easier, right? And so these beliefs and these values that are passed down with the best of intentions, we take on, and then we allow it to impact how we behave in the world, right? And so this is, on the worst case scenario, this is where bias comes from.
Absolutely.
This is where violence comes from. This is potentially where addiction comes from. This is where all of those negative things that are perpetuated in the world come from. If we don't stop the patterns by being conscious and looking at them and choosing consciously which ones serve us, which ones don't serve us, and which ones we want to continue using. And that can be, that pattern can be broken at any time. As long as people know. They know to look instead of just allowing us to go through our lives blindly. And it's so powerful. And the results that I see from people who do that, and they find the shift and they choose more empowering belief systems, they then pass that along to their children, to their community, to people within their organization. And it just can make massive change.
That's so interesting to me, Heather, because in my old days when I was a psychotherapist, I believed that you had to work long and hard to shift a pattern, especially one of, those generational ones, or just one of those things that we swallowed from an early age and ingested and adopted and believed. And it wasn't until I started working with energy and being exposed to other ways of being in the world that I saw that we could make that decision with consciousness, with awareness, much more easily than I ever believed, than I ever knew. And that's what you're speaking to right now, is the ease with which that can happen if you're willing.
Oh, 100%. It is an incredibly freeing process. And it comes down to choice, and it can be quick. But something I just do want to bring up is that we need the continued awareness of it, because even though you can change your mind and your actions in a moment, old patterns will keep kind of presenting themselves, and you have to keep choosing. So you have to keep being aware, and it gets easier and easier because you're creating a new habit.
Exactly.
And, it's fine, but just being aware that it takes a little bit of vigilance. Yeah,
it does. It does. And that each time that you pay attention and you make that choice, you're creating a new pathway. And you're creating a new pathway in the brain that gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
Exactly. I love that. That's perfectly, very well said.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, with that, you've talked before to me about a phoenix and that being part of your new program. And I've always loved the image of the phoenix, partly, I guess, because I was a D.H. Lawrence fan, and that's big for him. And we think about something rising from the ashes, but how do you relate to the phoenix, the image of the phoenix, the symbol of the phoenix, and what is it you're creating around that now?
It is such a natural next step for me. I've spoken about how my company's called Find Your Fire, and like I do programs wrapped around fire, but with everything that had gone on in my world and in the world, this is a time of massive transformation, of massive change, of massive, potentially massive pain or healing depending on what you do with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are people all over that are being let go from their jobs, who have a loss of business, who are in that fear state. And what the phoenix is, that the symbolism of the phoenix is so beautiful and so amazing because it's an immortal bird, right? And so what happens after the 500 years that it has been alive, it actually bursts into flames and then is reborn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see right now that happening for people. If we can release our fear and release the pain and release the negativity and allow ourselves to be reborn with new intention, with new consciousness, with new vision, with new connection,
Mm-hmm.
then your whole life and your purpose can be amazingly extraordinary, coming from something that could potentially have been incredibly painful and negative, right?
Yes.
But we have that capacity. And so that's why I named my new program The Phoenix. And it is based on those transformations for people who are in the middle of transition that they may feel as if is coming from an external source.
Right.
Right. Sometimes we decide to make changes, but that's a little different than when we feel as if these changes are thrust upon us. And both can benefit from a program like the Phoenix, right? Because it's about the transition and the transformation. But right now, I feel as if there's a lot of people feeling a little helpless, as if it's coming from outside. And I want to give them back the power to make the choices so that they can feel the freedom that comes from that.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Heather. This is a time like that 500-year-old phoenix where it's like everything is bursting into flames.
Yes.
And what are we going to create out of the ashes? And who are we going to be?
Yes.
I'm wondering if in your program, how with your program, what do you see as most important for that rising out of the ashes, whatever those ashes are?
Right. Well, there's an entire fire framework that's attached to it, right? And so there's a path, a journey that people can go through. And they may come in stage one of the journey. They may be completely feeling isolated and scared and in a great deal of pain. Or they may come in stage 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, wherever it is, but they can learn from the strategies in each of the sections and the stages of that development, where somebody who feels like, you know what, I'm going through a little bit of a transition, but I feel pretty good, can still go back and learn from that stage 1 about releasing old beliefs.
Yes.
Right? So there's lessons from each of the stages, but it's really important for people to kind of self-select where they are and then look at where they want to go. And we keep talking about that becoming.
Yes.
What do they want to make of their lives? What bridge do they want to create to something better, that becoming? And it's all possible within the framework of what we've created with the program.
So I'm curious, or listening to you makes me curious. Why is this your work? In other words, what is it for you that has made you move into teaching this particular program?
Oh, Laurie, you're going to make me get it all out there, aren't you? You're really good at this. You know, I believe, and I've always believed, that we teach what we need to learn. And it's a process, it's a journey. And if we're honest with ourselves, those of us that are in this world of personal and professional development, of influencing, of helping others become, had to have gone through some difficulties in order to have learned the lessons that enable us to create programs that help other people, right? to in any capacity claim that it's just, this divine knowledge that I just happen to know. No, I've fallen down. I've messed up. I've done things that have brought me and others great pain because I didn't know any better.
Right.
So there's this element that's attached to this of compassion and forgiveness for self, and to come back to that self-love that we are, even when we make mistakes, and especially when we make mistakes and can look at them and can learn the lesson and move forward in a different, better way, that we are still beautiful and perfect as humans, that it's part of the journey, and that we have to come from love. And so often I see so many people in pain because they feel this guilt and shame and remorse and regret and all of these emotions that do not serve anyone, themselves included. And that's part of the releasing and the part of the acceptance, so that you can move forward. So yes, long story short, I've been there, I've done that, I've fallen down, I've messed up, and that's how we got the fire framework.
And it sounds like there's something that you're seeing right now in whatever way that we see the world, that it's needed right now. Needed more perhaps than it was needed before.
Yes. Everything has its time. Everything has its time, and it is really necessary right now. And I keep speaking to the bigger purpose, because I believe that we are connected, and that when we do the journey for ourselves to become, then we will be contributing to that bigger purpose and be able to be part of the solution instead of, what did you say? You said instead of being a victim, right?
Right.
We have the power to be part of the solution.
I love that. We have the power to be part of the solution.
Yeah.
So I bet you have something specific or special, or in this moment, whatever calls to you, something to share with our listening audience that would really be a way to move them.
Well, there's so many different things that I could dive into, but I would just, if I had to pick one thing, it is to take the time right now, the space, to allow the space. It might be a gift, right? And to see some of the things that are happening to us as happening for us, and how can we find the gift, and to quiet and take the time to be present in the space of where we are, and to maybe come from a meditative state, maybe 5 minutes each day. Come in contact with your heart. Quiet the external noise, the distractions, the negativity, the sheer volume of madness that could be out there. Just turn it down. Just turn it down and turn up the volume on our hearts, and sit with it and listen to it and heed it, right? Because what did you say? You said, I bet there's something calling to you right now that you want people to know. And you're right, there is. And just like each one of the listeners here today have something that is calling them. And when it's too noisy in your world, you won't hear it. And you have gifts, and you have value. And when you take that quiet time, and I'm serious, it only really takes 5 minutes to quiet and listen and hear and heed, and then maybe journal about it, the actions will naturally come. The opportunities will present themselves, because the universe provides that. Not to get too foo-foo here for you, but I believe that when our intention, when our attention goes toward that positive energy and our gifts and the love and the connection, that the opportunities to serve will open and will expand together.
That's so beautiful. And, I've been thinking about what you're saying a lot, and that kind of thing, because everything is energy in the universe. And we are energy as well. We're not separate. And when we apply it like that and we begin to tune into whatever it is that is wanting to be created, however it is that the universe, we could say it is, wants to co-create with us or through us, we become, as we quiet down, we become more of an attractor to those things that we need, those resources, the ideas, the people, to be able to do what it is that we're called to do.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Yes, I completely agree with you. And you said, about attracting, and I, for those listeners out there that would like something that a little bit harder, a little bit more concrete. That energy that Laurie and I are speaking of right now translates in the world of business as well, very strongly from a standpoint of attraction and repelling, right? And if you think of your energy and are conscious of your energy when it comes to interacting with other business people in sales or in whatever capacity on your team, that when you're shifting your focus to a positive energy, you will attract more business. You will attract positive relationships. You will attract opportunities. And when you aren't conscious, you may unwittingly fall into that negative energy that will repel all of those things.
Right. That is so timely. Because there's so much more stress, frankly, just in the world right now. People are feeling more stress for various reasons. And when we're stressed, it's easier to fall into those old ways of thinking and those ways that are limiting our self-doubt or just being, judgmental of someone else or of yourself. So what you're really speaking to is how important it is to be aware, to stay conscious.
Yes, 100%. There you go. Right there. That's it. We're done.
That's it. So tell people how they can reach out to you, though, and how they can find you, and maybe how they can also find your Phoenix program.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, you can reach me at any time through the website or my email. So my website is HeatherHansenO'Neill.com. I'll spell Hansen is Hansen. O'Neill is Oneill. My email is heather@heatherhanseno'neill.com. You can check me out in all of the different social media channels. Connect with me, because I love, if you have a question, if you need something, I am totally open to that. If you did want some more information about the Phoenix program, you can go to a nice, easy bit.ly link that is bit.ly/Phoenix program, with the P's capitalized. And for some reason, that's really important.
Okay.
And you'll be able to get some information there about that. We're launching now, and it is so wonderful to see the people that are being attracted to this program, people that are very talented and wise and successful in their own rights. When I talk about transformation and pain and evolving, sometimes people think that it's only for people who are completely struggling and in chaos. No, it's also for people who already have achieved a certain level of success and awareness, and then they can just bump it up that much higher.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I look forward to hearing from people.
Absolutely. Thank you. And know that all of the links will be posted on the show notes at the bottom of the episode. And I do encourage people to reach out to you with their questions, with their interest in being more, bumping it up, as you say, and finding their fire.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. So thank you. Laurie, I have just been so drawn to your energy and the wonderful work that you are doing out there in the world. And it is truly a blessing. And so thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for saying that, Heather. I so appreciate knowing you, knowing that you're doing this work in the world. It's, there's a lot of people that say they're doing something. I always feel with you this sense of action, of taking action on what you believe in. And I love that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Well, thank you again for being with us. And thanks to our listening audience for being with us today at Wisdom Talk Radio. Join us here regularly for more wisdom, discovery, and illumination. And remember, you can find us on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. And if you've enjoyed listening today, leave us a review, because when you leave us a review and you let people know by that this is something worth listening to. And it helps people be able to access more of that wisdom, more of that inspiration, and more of the transformation. And for more about fast-tracking your ideas to creation and revenue, find me, Laurie Seymour, over at thebacainstitute.com. Take the quiz and find out your creative innovator style so that you can turn your ideas into reality without missing another moment.
Thanks for joining us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. We wish you well in your conscious explorations. For more information and to join in the conversation, our website is wisdomtalkradio.com or at Wisdom Talk Radio on Facebook.